Hello, my name is Mrs Steckel. I'm the orchestra teacher over here at Ravinia and Indian Trail Schools in Highland Park. And what I'd like to do is give you a presentation on what you can expect with orchestra. We're going to go over how to rent the instrument, what the program is all about, and even talk a little bit about how we have done concerts in the past and what that might look like today. So here we go. Let's start with the basics. So when you enroll in orchestra, here's what you can expect. You'll have a weekly lesson, one lesson a week. If you're at Indian Trail, the lessons are on Monday. And if you're at Ravinia, we have orchestra on Friday. Students are pulled out of class on those respective days after working out a schedule with the classroom teacher. They get pulled for one 30-minute session with their common instruments. So if your child plays the cello, for example, they will have a small group lesson with other cello players. We make sure, the classroom teacher and I, that this is not during a critical learning time when a project or a lesson is introduced. It's more during a time where they have some downtime to work on extra work in class. But if they do miss something, it is up to the student to make sure they ask the teacher what they missed and make sure they keep up. So rehearsals traditionally in the past have occurred during lunchtime. We have an ensemble rehearsal with everybody in the orchestra. That's so that students get an idea of what it's like to play with a group, hear everyone at once, and learn to work as a team, making a common sound work together. So you can see why this would be very important. Again, once a week, fourth grade or the first year students would meet and learn about how to do that. Our second year students, traditionally fifth graders, but that will look a little different this year, they will also meet, and this is when students prepare for concerts. Now, we've just been through a pandemic and there were no concerts. We're anticipating having our first concert in January, but we have to see how things go. We will have socially distant rehearsals, but we'll have to just kind of play it by ear, pun intended, and see where that goes until January. So stay tuned. We need our students to come prepared for class, and just like they would come prepared for any other class, practicing is essential. When you sign up for something like orchestra or band, it isn't a kind of a class where you can just come and not have worked on anything during the week, during your alone time and your time on your own to practice. Students have to come prepared and willing to put the time in so that when we touch on a lesson and learn it from one week to the next, they're prepared to execute the strategies and lesson from the week before so we can go on to something new the following week. We don't want to stall every week on the same lesson. So the most important thing that I want to stress is this is an extracurricular type of a class, but it is also part of our curriculum in the district. So it is a commitment to sign up and be willing to put in the time and the practice in order to be a part of a team. You wouldn't want to go to a soccer game having not attended any of the practices and then just hope for your best. Same thing with orchestra. So the next thing we want to talk about, like we were saying, student responsibilities. Students need to bring their instruments every week along with their book or their music. Got to come prepared. We want to make sure that students arrive on time, so they're given a schedule ahead of time, and their classroom teachers also know what that schedule is. Performing at concerts is a blast. It gives them a chance to shine and show off what they've been doing. Remember, they have to make up for some classwork if they are pulled out at a time when the teacher might have talked about something, so it's always good to check in with the teacher. And practicing 4 times a week, about 15 to 20 minutes, is recommended. That's the best strategy if you use that as a minimum for being prepared for the next week. And we want you to come with a positive attitude and ready to play, ready to learn. It's so much fun, but it's more fun if you have practiced and you know what you're doing. As a parent, we also need your help. We want to work with you as a team and make sure that your children are as successful as possible. So it helps to start with a quality instrument. I've seen folks purchase instruments for beginning orchestra students on Amazon and other places, and these instruments do not hold their tuning. They fall apart. I've seen the necks just break off because they're glued together with subpar glues. Renting a quality instrument is key because that instrument will sound better, and when the instrument sounds better, the student's happier and they're more satisfied with what they are doing, and they want to practice more because they know they can make it sound good. If the instrument is really bad, it's going to be downhill from that point. So it's something to definitely consider and go in that direction. We have 3 different vendors that we use here in the district, which I'll share their information with you later. We have a book, which is Essential Elements, and students use that book. And we go through it in a great progress to learn how to play pizzicato first, which is plucking, and then later we apply the bow because there's a lot to know when you play a string instrument. A music stand is important to have if you don't have a means by which to place music up in front of you to keep your body and posture upright. So we suggest getting a music stand. Some people have a piano at home and they can set the music up on the piano and scoot their bench back and play that way. But you never want to just set your book down on a table or on the floor because that affects your posture depending on what instrument you're doing. All right, and then of course, help them by being encouraging and supportive. If it helps to make a practice schedule at home, then that's great because everybody has a different type of program that they are engaging in after school. Some are doing soccer and some are doing baseball and other sports or dance. So a schedule might be very, very helpful to insert those practice times so that they are met. We have 4 instruments in the orchestra that we offer: violin, viola, cello, and bass. You can learn a little bit more about these instruments on my website, which will be linked in our principal's newsletter. So I want to work with students to give them a chance to try out the instruments, and that's going to look different at the 2 schools that I am at. Because I am at Ravinia 4 days a week, it's a little bit easier for me to work with students. At Indian Trail, I'm going to come up with a strategy to allow students to try out the instruments, but I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. There's a registration form that I need everybody to fill out, and please be very specific with the answers you give to the questions. That is going to help me be able to contact you, because that will be essential when it comes to talking about concerts, talking about uniforms, talking about rentals, talking about everything. So thank you for registering on that form in advance. And again, we have 3 different vendors. We use Deerfield Music, Cassandra Strings, and the Field Violin Workshop for our instrument rentals. I don't handle anything with the rentals. My role is as instructor. If you are looking to rent an instrument, then I suggest contacting those 3 vendors. Maybe you know somebody that's already used one of them. Perhaps you have an instrument already that has been given to you from a family member or a friend or someone. But we want to make sure that your child is using the right size. So we will talk about that as well. I would like to open up an opportunity for you to ask me any questions. So I'm going to be sending out some links to a Zoom registration, and that way you have an opportunity to ask me questions that you might have about orchestra as well. Okay, so last thing, I am so excited to work with your students. It has been a crazy couple of years, but I found that even during a remote learning, students really love playing because it was a break from trying to do the academics online, and it gave them something to do with their bodies, something to get them moving, and they made beautiful music. So I really hope that I have the opportunity to work with your students this year. I hope that you have a wonderful school year, and welcome back to school. Take care.